Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe. We had a very nice exchange last week in the Japan Sangha, in the Japan meeting class, about the very basics of Bhagavad Gita. I think it was a little bit, I tried to start from the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And what's a bit strange about today is that Jayananda Maharaj wanted us to start at the very end of Bhagavad Gita. So as you remember, Bhagavad Gita is in many ways a journey from a meeting of Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the start of a discovery for Arjuna of his spiritual life. So in the very first pages of Bhagavad Gita, we know, as everyone knows, I suppose, we start with a dilemma of Arjuna, an existential crisis. Should I fight or should I lie down and die? Should I fight or should I live in my soul? And this is the start of a discussion, an exchange with Krishna about what the soul is, what the soul means, what it means to say that we are a soul, the relationship between the soul of Arjuna and the soul of Krishna, and the relationship between the soul of Arjuna and the soul of all other jivas, all the other living souls. And when we haven't together gone there yet, maybe some of you have read these pages, but the journey starts with Krishna explaining to Arjuna that he has a soul, that he is not his body, that he is not a soldier on the battlefield, that he's not a prince, that he's not wealthy, that he's not beautiful physically, in material, but that he has a soul. And then over the course of the chapters in Bhagavad Gita, this knowledge of the soul is deepened. I think we talked about it in my Bhagavad Gita class, that the first 3 chapters are explaining what it means to be a soul and not a material body. And then we go on to understand, once we know that we're a soul and not a material body, then the next 3 chapters explain what kind of relationship we have to God, given the fact that we're a soul and not a body. And then this knowledge of God and the relation between the individual soul and the Paramatma, the super soul, the soul of God, is explained and deepened. So in a way, the book of Bhagavad Gita is a journey towards deeper knowledge. Deeper knowledge, on the one hand, of the self, myself, yourself, everyone's self. That's what's so beautiful about it. It's universal. It applies to everyone. But on the other hand, it's also a knowledge of God. And the key to the relationship to these 2 sides of the story, knowledge of the self and knowledge of God, is that they're the same, or they return to the same. This, by the virtue of this idea that when we are created by God, it's also our soul that's created, and that when God's soul is expanded into the creation, then a little bit of God's soul is in each of us. A little bit of the God's soul is in each of us. So the relation between the word Atma, very special and beautiful Sanskrit word, which means both soul and self. Atma, soul and self. In the West, these 2 ideas are completely separated. We have a self, it's intelligent, an actor, an ego, a doer, a consumer. And we have a soul, which is something religious or spiritual. But in the Vaishnava tradition, these are the same words, same idea, Atma, soul and self. So who you are is what your soul is, really just inspiring in itself. So that individual soul, the Atma, is actually a part of the Param Atma, the super soul, or the soul of God, or Krishna. So it's even in the word, we can hear it, the Atma and the Param Atma. The individual soul and the super soul, they're linked together. This means that the path of Bhagavad Gita, of discovering the individual soul, discovering who I am, who you are in your individual experience, is discovering who God is in you. Also a very strange idea in the West. Discovering who you are is uncovering who God is in you. What form God takes in your own heart. That's the story of Bhagavad Gita, but it's also the story of our devotional practice. When you do your meditations, when you do your practice, when you sing, when you chant, when you do parikram, when you do all these things, you're trying to clear away the rubbish around your soul in order to see the divine there. Not to see somebody who's different from the divine, but to see very exactly the divine in yourself. And that's what Krishna is helping Arjuna to do throughout the Bhagavad Gita, the story of the Bhagavad Gita. There's lots to say about this, and I invite you to join the Bhagavad Gita class where we talk a lot about chapter 9 and chapter 10. But the chapter that Jayananda Prabhu wants you to hear about today, is 18, the last chapter. The last chapter. And already, when I say the last chapter, I get a big heartbeat in my chest. Because the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita must be something very special. And it is. Why? Because in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, actually in the last pages, Arjuna discovers, or Krishna tells Arjuna, that he's on the path towards his divine form, his Swarup. This is maybe the most important word in all our practice with Gurudev, Swarup. It means form. It could be the form of anything, the form of a fruit, the form of a song. It could be the form of a body. But in our sense, it means the form of our soul. Your soul. Oops, a bit of an echo now. Your individual soul is unique. Each one of you there. I see 50 different little screens, 50 different beautiful faces. And each of you has its own soul. Unique. Created by God. Each of your souls, each of the 50 souls I see, smiling and beautiful. Charanagati has a big splotch of blue color on her face from Holi, but okay. It's also beautiful. It's individual and unique, and it's always existed. Your soul was not born. Your soul will not die. Your soul has always been there. That's how beautiful you are. From the beginning to the end, you've always been there. Yes, it's true. Your beautiful soul has passed from one body to another, from one material form to another, from life after life, reincarnation to reincarnation. But your Swarup, in our sense, your spiritual form, how you look as a spiritual being, has never changed. Never. I repeat, never. You've always been what you are. But the big question for us is, What are you? What is it that you are? And our practice in bhakti is trying to find that out, trying to show you the path so you can go back to where you are. What you are. Because as we know, living in material life, we forget who we are. We get involved in work and we get involved in the material pleasures of everyday life. We get distracted by this and by that. And what happens is that we forget who we are. We forget our soul. We forget our soul form, our svarup. And that's really such a terrible thing, because your soul is the most beautiful thing there is. Your soul is older than Taj Mahal. Your soul is older than the pyramids. Your soul is older than the sands of the desert and the Amazon forest. It was there before all of that. So this is the beauty of our project, of our path, that we're trying to, all of us, find our way to uncover the soul from all the dirt that we piled upon it, from being egoistical, being clinging to the things that we do, and focusing only on material pleasures and material tasks. So this last chapter, now I'll try to come back to what my task is. This last chapter of Bhagavad Gita is trying to tell us what it looks like when we arrive at who we are. And according to Bhakti, according to Gurudev, according to our dear Jananda Maharaj, it's completely possible to arrive back at understanding who you really are, what your svarup is, what your spiritual form is, that thing that's existed through all time. And to put it really simply, much too simply, because it's difficult work, we're all doing it, and it's difficult work. The path to finding who you are is finding the divine in you, seeing the divine in you, taking away the coverings of your eyes so you can see the divine in you. And the way the divine in you looks in bhakti is, it looks like love. And love is many things. One thing that's sure about love is everybody knows what it is. I could ask you, could someone tell me what quantum physics is? And maybe some would say yes, and some would say no. And I could say, could somebody tell me how much a rhinoceros weighs? And some would say yes, and some would say no. But everybody knows what love is. Everybody has at least a little experience of love. And our strategy as bhakta, our strategy is to follow that little trace of love and make it bigger. Put in our fingers in the hole of that shining light of love and open it up and make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until there's nothing left of us but that love. And there you will have arrived at who you are. There you will arrive at who you are. Who you are is, what your svarup is pure love, pure prema, divine love. And that's what, to get back to my task for today, that's what's happening in this last the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So now let's go look at it a little bit more closely, because this is what Jananda asked me to do. We're in chapter 18, and he said we should look at verse 55. And there he is now. Jai Ho, Radhe Radhe. So nice. Jananda Sandavat Pranam. I just finished a kind of introduction. And now we were just going to look at the verse 55 with your mercy. So verse 55, I was going to say mercy 55, but that's the same, I think. Mercy 55 is about how we, like the chapter, the whole chapter 18, it's about how we find our way to knowledge of God. And like I just tried to say, Fernando, while you were still away, how finding knowledge of God is finding knowledge of pure love and finding knowledge of who we are. That who we are as jivas, our individual souls, is the divine in the form of love. That's what I just said before you came. So Bhagavad Gita puts this in this way, in verse 55. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. I repeat it. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter the kingdom of God. So this is truly the description of the end point of our journey in bhakti, of cleaning away all the dirt and rubbish from our hearts and finding the pure divine love inside. That's our goal. That's what we're looking to do. And the Bhagavad Gita says we can understand God, who is the Supreme Personality, by doing this. And Supreme Personality is very important because it reminds us that God is not just reality itself. God is not just pure power. God is not just pure beauty or pure perfection or anything that does not live. God is personality, and that means that God is loving. So I would even go as far as to replace the word personality with the word loving and say, and then take the verse again, one can understand the supreme loving as he is only by devotional service. So I think it's true to say that in our bhakti practice, we understand God to be loving relation. And that's why we focus in our practice on the meaning of the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna appearing as Radha and Mohan, is not Radha, is not Mohan, but is the experience of love between them. It's loving itself, the loving of God. And this is such a huge thought, such a difficult thought. First, that particularly for people in the West, actually. First, that God should be divided, should split himself in two in order to feel love. But also that God should have a love affair of some kind. That God should have loving emotions on a godly level. This is what's so challenging for us to imagine. But that's what divine personality means. It means God is loving relation. And that means that when we serve God, when we talk about doing our service, we're trying to support that loving relation, serve that loving relation. And in our group, in our direction, we'd serve that loving relation by imagining ourselves the servants, the Manjari servants of Radha, the goddess of love. So the ideal way for us to serve God understood as loving, is to become servants of the goddess of love. So the rest of the verse says that this is only possible by devotional service. Devotional service is the translation of bhakti. I didn't read the Sanskrit verse, but the very first word of the verse is bhaktiya. Bhaktiya mam abhijanati, which means by devotional service. So we know that bhakti, what we do as bhakta, is devotional service. What is devotional service? It's doing anything for any child of God with love. I tried to say this last week when we had such a nice time together in Mungar Mandir. Bhakti means the practice of doing anything to any other soul in the spirit of love, doing it with love. This could mean washing the dishes for your wife. This could mean driving your children to school. This could mean carrying the garbage cans of your neighbor out to the sidewalk. It doesn't matter what kind of activity. If that activity is done with love, and that means without care for whether your neighbor thanks you, without care for whether you get money back, without care for whether you get recognition, if you do it with love, selflessly, then you are taking one step on the path to being a servant of divine love. Divine love. And this, says Bhagavad Gita, is the way that we come to know the Supreme Personality. Only by devotional service. The best way is to serve God directly or close to directly. So to somehow become Guru Manjari or Manjari and directly serve Radha in the loving pastime. But since most of us are very far from this, every little piece of loving devotion that we can do is bringing us 1 centimeter closer to God. And for most of us, that is what we can do. You do your work, whatever your work is. Do it with love. Do it without ego. Do it without attachment. Do it with God in mind, and you will move forward in your practice. Then the second half of the verse says something more about the goal. It says, and when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Well, enter in the kingdom of God, this is kind of Christian language. Any of the Western people in our group will recognize that from the Middle Ages, we talk about heaven as a kingdom. So this language the translation is a bit unfortunate like that. What this means is that we can completely realize our divinity. We can completely realize the godliness of our souls. So what we have to do that? Well, we have to come in full consciousness. Full consciousness is also linked to the expression that Prabhupada invented, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means thinking fully, devoting our activities fully, devoting our attention fully to God. So if not only are taking out the garbage for the neighbor with love, but also feeding the children with love, doing our job at the factory with love, driving our car with love. Absolutely everything, 24 hours a day in our lives is done with perfect love. And then we will enter the kingdom of God. Then we will know God. So if nothing in your day has any ego in it, nothing in your day has any desire to see a payment, a return, a recognition, then you will arrive at the kingdom of God. This is what this means. Devotion means clearing away all the covering over your loving heart. It doesn't mean importing something from the loving heart shop or ordering a loving heart on Amazon. This means taking care of your own loving heart, which is already loving. Like we said yesterday, already loving for no reason. Endless and causeless. Your heart is already there. We can't explain it. But our problem is that our heart is blocked. Our heart is covered. So that everything we can do to uncover it, to do the tasks of our day with full love, that will take us towards divinity. Maybe I make a pause here for Jayananda Maharaj. He wants to add, and then we'll read the purport.
No, wonderful. Now I'm nothing. You continue. So maybe later on.
Okay, then Prabhupada's comments on this very important verse. And he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions. So this basically means everybody who has a part of God in her or him. That's you and me. These cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by non-devotees. Okay, two things cannot understand it. One is mental speculation. That means if you try to use logic to understand the love in your heart, if you try to use mathematics or physics or chemistry or biology to understand the love in your heart, then you will not understand God. And the other thing that will block you is non-devotees. If you're doing your tasks in life without love, then you cannot understand. So God cannot be understood by mental speculation and by non-devotees. Those who try to think with their brains only, and those who are not acting through their hearts. And he continues, he says, if anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of God, he or she has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Well, we already described what pure devotional service would look like. That means that everything you do, putting on your sock, brushing your teeth, making your dinner, is done with pure love. And it's not easy. We know it's not easy, but that's what that would mean. So that's clear. But then under the guidance of a pure devotee, why is this important? Well, the most pure devotee I can think of is our Gurudev. He's the model devotee. He's the best devotee. And why is he so important to us? Because he shows us. He shows us how to. Just a moment for the Barcelona flight. There we go. Goodbye to Barcelona. Now back to Vrindavan. Gurudev is important to us because he shows us how to be a pure devotee. Sometimes he likes to explain things, but he doesn't tell us how to be a pure devotee with logics and with rationality and with mechanics and with physics. He shows us how to be a pure devotee. He shows us that he's an example of a pure devotee. And also, when we associate with our Guru and with other very pure devotees like Jayananda Maharaj, we take their energy. Even if we're zooming with pure devotees, we can feel by the way they speak and by the way they move and the way they communicate and the way they are. We can get this energy which helps us to do the work of becoming pure devotees. And then Prabhupada continues the commentary saying, otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. And this is what I was trying to say, that it's not a matter of importing the truth from Australia or something like that. It's a matter of uncovering it within ourselves, realizing. This is what realization means. This word that everybody uses. Did you have a realization today? Means, did you see a little bit of your own divine heart today? So it's not, you're not a pioneer walking through the Amazon forest trying to discover something new. You're a pioneer in your own heart, trying to discover your own heart in a new way. That's what realization means. I realize that I'm God. I realize that I have this beauty inside. And realization is the right word because it's not really knowing, because I already had it, so I don't need to know it. I just need to figure out and stop being so silly that I don't see it. So I realize that I already had it. Prabhupada says it's already stated, Naham Prakasha, which means already stated, that he is not revealed to anyone. Sorry, this is what I said as well. I think I've read Prabhupada too many times. Now I just talk like him without saying that it's his idea. But he says it's not a revelation from outside. It's a discovery from inside. And he goes on, everyone cannot understand God simply by scholarship, erudite scholarship, or by mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. Those are those two things again, right? Understanding that it's not about logics and it is about love. Those are the two things we need. University degrees are not helpful, which Prabhupada put there just to make fun of me because I have 7 or something. I don't really count. Useless, totally useless. At present, anyway. Prabhupada goes on, one who is fully conversant, so one who can speak the language with the Krishna science, becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. And once again, the spiritual kingdom is the kingdom inside you. It's not the kingdom up on the clouds somewhere. It's not the kingdom in a faraway place or inside a temple in Vrindavan. The kingdom is the one that's inside you, which is why you are so beautiful, even if you don't quite realize it yet. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. So becoming a wise person, a learned person, it doesn't mean you need to lose your identity. Devotional service is there. And as long as devotional service exists, there must be God. So if there's a tiny light of love when you're putting on your children's shoes, and I remember how it is, they don't want to have their shoes put on. And if we put them on with love anyway, then there must be God. The devotee and the process of devotional service, so all that is there. Just when we feel the love, when we smile when your child doesn't want the shoe put on, and you feel love for the child who doesn't want his or her shoe put on, then you are a devotee of God. Then you are in the process of devotional service. then you're well on the way. The train is left. You're good. Just keep going. Prabhupada says, such knowledge is never vanquished, even after liberation. So now we come to a part where we're going to talk about liberation in a very important way. We've talked about it before, here and there, in classes at Mandir Mandir with Jainandra Das and with Gurudev. So liberation is a very special and very important word. Actually, I mentioned it last week. Now I remember. I'm sorry. When we spoke last week in Japan class, I talked about liberation. And the common understanding of liberation, of becoming a sannyasi, of putting on the orange gowns, is that we cut our ties with material pleasures. So I put on the orange gown. I'm never going to eat meat again. I'm never going to have sex again. I'm never going to drink alcohol again or take drugs again. And what's the other one? I'm not going to gamble. These are the four rules that are common in Krishna consciousness. But that's not what liberation is in bhakti. That's not what liberation means. It's very important to understand this difference. So Gurudev, our Gurudev would say something like, well, that liberation is Vaidhi Bhakti. That liberation is just following some rules which come from outside me, which come from someone who has power outside me. The liberation we want is a different one. The liberation we look for is liberation from an idea. And that idea is that we are our body. Liberation means letting go of the very deep belief that I am my body, that I am my intelligence, that I am the books I've written, that I am the places I've been, that I am the people I've met. Letting go of everything that I have made and owned, and knowing that none of that is me, none of that is my soul, that my soul is something different. The moment we let go of that, then we are free. Then we are liberated. Then we are true sannyasi. Gurudev tells a story. I hope you've heard it. It's so beautiful. He became sannyasi in South America. I can't tell you what year, maybe Jayananda knows, or Suniti, 20 years ago, something like this. He became sannyasi and put on the robe. And he, for 1 or 2 days only, associated with the other sannyasis in the group. And all they talked about, he said, was the rules. That they wouldn't do this, and they wouldn't be smoking, and they wouldn't be drinking, and there would be no more sex, and no more this, and no more that. And he said to them, just like our beautiful Gurudev would say, that where is the love? Where's the love? He said. And the love was gone. There was no more love. And just about immediately, he took off the robe. And he said, this is not my sannyasa. The sannyasa of our Gurudev is the sannyasa of the heart, which says, I renounce all things that cover my heart, the purity of my loving divine heart. That's the sannyasi. And I think this is the sannyasi that Prabhupada is talking about as well, when he talks about liberation. He says, and I continue now reading, he says, indeed, liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there. The same individuality is there. That I am this, and I can enjoy that. I'm an individual, and I can enjoy that. I can have this material experience. But, so Prabhupada says, in pure Krishna consciousness, in pure spiritual form, It's about a relation to our soul, a relation to who we are and what is keeping us from purifying that relation. All the material coverings that keep us from becoming who we are, from becoming our spiritual form, our soul. So I just noticed that that Garanga is there too. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you, Dandavat. And please comment or make any additions you'd like. You're more than welcome.
Oh, well,
Otherwise, as you like, Jananda, you tell me what you want.
You have still time?
Yes, I have another 30 minutes.
Yeah, this is wonderful. If people going on, also Gauranga Sundara Prabhu could share. This is a very beautiful verse.
It's really wonderful verse, yeah. You're mute, Garanga.
Sorry, which was, I came late.
We're on 18.
5 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago.
Oh, I see. It was so nice. That's why I didn't notice you.
Yeah.
1855.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll continue a little bit and then I'll let you others comment and share as you see fit. I hope it's not too noisy here on the microphone. It's very noisy where I am. Yeah, and then the Prabhupada wants to comment about what it means enter into me. So enter into God, enter into this kingdom, which I already said is a bit of a Old Testament root, Christian, Middle Ages Christian expression. One should not misunderstand that the word vishate, enter into me, supports the monist theory. So the Abrahamic or Christian or Islamic or Jewish theory, that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. So Prabhupada means here that when we reach this stage of enlightenment, when we merge with the divine, this does not mean we disappear into the Brahma, the total reality that would sort of dissolve into everything and become anonymous and become just part of the totality, like a big mass of reality. No, it does not mean this. Well, let's listen to him and then I'll explain what I think. So that's the monist theory. That's the one God theory, the monotheistic theory. He says, no, vishate, enter into me, means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in his individuality, to engage in his association and render service unto him. This goes together with what I said earlier on today, that you are a totally unique soul, each one of you. Totally unique, totally divine, beautiful, and absolutely endless. Your soul has always been there, older than the Taj Mahal, older than the pyramids. Your soul has always been there and will always be there. Your individuality, your spiritual personality is endless. It means that when you find realization, you will remain as an individual soul. You will continue your service to God on the spiritual level. So in a perfected way, in a way that's entirely self-present and enlightened, you will continue to exist as an individual. You're already special. Your task is to uncover the nature of how special you are, how divine you are. And this divinity will continue once you reach total realization That's the individuality that Prabhupada is talking about. For instance, he says, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. So you and I are the green birds. And when we fly into the tree of the Absolute, we're not there to melt into it, to disappear into it, but to enjoy it, to fully relish it, to fully respect it, fully recognize it, and to enjoy it. Impersonalists, Prabhupada says, generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. Right? You and I, jivas, we're a drop of water. God is the endless ocean. And when we unite with God, finally, at the highest moment of our experience, we disappear into the water. We can become nothing, or almost nothing. This is not the conception of the Vaishnavas, in which the spiritual particularity carries on. And so the loving relation carries on. The whole force of reality, the force of the absolute truth in Bhakti Vaishnavism, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, is the loving devotion. It can never stop. It can never stop. God itself is loving devotion. So how could it stop? We will always be part of it. And Prabhupada says this may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist. But the personalist, like us, keeps his or her personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. I'm not sure what an aquatic is. A fish, let's say. So the fish is in the ocean but still swimming. And the ocean, again, in the last weeks and months, Gurudev speaks so much of diving, swimming on the surface and diving deep. So this image of the ocean is very, very appropriate. And Prabhupada continues, we find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, our dear Gurudev talking about, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics, so the life under the water, aquatics living in the ocean depths. Well, it's beautiful. It corresponds exactly to what we discussed so often recently with Gurudev. And also, since Gauranga is there, I can say that he's given some very nice examples of what it is to dive deep into the darkness with very small movements of the body. Very, very inspirational. Prabhupada then continues, because of his or her pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of. If you were in the class of Bhagavad Gita class yesterday, then you heard me talking about the opulence from the outside, the external opulence, and the opulence from the inside. And the opulence from the outside is something we can see from far and we can venerate and admire and fetishize, but we cannot know it truly. But if we follow the path of bhakti, we can discover the beauty, the opulence of Krishna from the inside. How? By creating a relationship between our heart and the divine heart, our heart and Krishna's heart. This is what devotional service does. Everything we do where we apply our heart, we associate our heart with God. The more heartfelt service we do, the more deeper we go into our relationship with the heart of God. When we've come to the point which we all aspire to, which we all have as our goal, when the only kind of activity we do is loving devotional, then we know completely the heart of God, the heart of Krishna. This is what I think Prabhupada is trying to describe. And he continues, as it is stated in the 11th chapter, Only by devotional service can one understand. And the key word here is understand. Not understand with our brains, not understand with our logics, our philosophy, but understand with our hearts. Anybody can read the Wikipedia definition of Krishna and understand something. But this is not the understanding we seek. We want to understand with our hearts. We want to understand with our souls. And this is what devotional service can bring us. Glory to Prabhupada. The same is confirmed here, he says. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service and enter into His kingdom. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta stage of freedom, so this means complete knowledge, Brahma Bhuta, freedom from material conceptions. Again, I underscore not from material experiences, but from material ideas, conceptions. It's not just giving up the milk chocolate, but it's giving up the idea that my spiritual identity is made in attachment with material things. So after attainment of Brahmabhuta stage of freedom from material conceptions, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahmabhuta stage develops. So when we only think about devotion, when all our activities are done in devotion, that's the automatic he's talking about. And material contamination, greediness and lust for sense enjoyment, it disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. Again, understand with his heart. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. Also, after liberation, this sannyasa that we're talking about, this liberation from the false idea of what myself is, the process of devotional service continues. Once again, even once we become liberated from our idea that we are a body, our devotion can go on the spiritual plane. And that's described then in the Bhagavatam in Canto 10 and 11. It's really wonderful. We have to have a whole class about it another time. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement, so putting back of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. So if Gurudev were on this class, he would be shouting Jai Ho. He would love this sentence. Because once he would agree that the living identity is linked up to its identity, the living entity is connected to its identity, which is its soul, its constitutional position, its Swarup, then we will have succeeded. Then we will be successful. The constitutional position, the Swarup, the thing we are, the place we started, and the place where we're going, is already explained. Every living entity is the part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. That little bit of love you feel in your heart right now, right there where you're sitting, listening, working, caring for children, caring for a wife, doing your job. That little bit is part and parcel of God, right in you. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. Being who you are means to serve that little piece of love you feel. which is actually not a little piece of love. It's a very big piece of love, but it's covered up. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Even when your heart is purified, you will keep serving. Actual liberation is getting free from the misconceptions of life. And that concludes the purport from verse 55. Dayananda Maharaj, I give you the floor, and I will sneak away and catch my airplane.
Thank you much. Thank you so much. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
And
much love to you all.
Today, I don't know, this realizing maybe, I don't know, speculation, but I feel this verse. Now, Raganuga explanation to this, I don't know, maybe one can understand the Supreme Personality as He only by this devotional service. Who is devotional service personification? I would like to understand this is the kind of Radharani, Who can do most devotional service? Who can do most pure devotional service to Krishna? This is Radharani. And then when one is in full consciousness of Supreme Lord by such devotion, who is full consciousness of the Supreme Lord? This is Radharani. Then he can enter into the kingdom of God. But I want to interpret this is enter the Nikunja Seva. Because this say Vishate, this purport say Vishate means that one can enter into the abode of Supreme Lord in his individuality and engage in his association and render service unto him. So this unto him, if we understand Radha Mohan together, then we could understand this Nikunja Seva.
Very nice.
Can you put something?
Sure.
When one in full consciousness, the Supreme Lord of Personality, it's for Srila Prabhupada, it's like synonym. Srimati Radhika can be, first is Krishna, can be Ananga sometimes, in not full consciousness. And Srimati Radhika in the past times, sometimes also can be Ananga. But who is always in full consciousness? Manjari.
Oh.
And by such devotion, that soul can enter into the kingdom. We can find this word kingdom as Radha's place, Krishna's place together, it's a kingdom.
This is not mentioned, just Vishate means enter. Tadantaran is therefore after. So that after we can enter, but I did not mention clearly. So maybe we interesting, full consciousness is Radha, also Manjari. Then we can enter the most intimate place is Nikunja or Nivrit Nikunja. Also, I found out this very interesting, this purport. As long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. This seems Sambandha, Avideya, Prayojana, maybe we may also understand. Means we need Ishtadeva, we need Swarupa, we need Seva. Also, in our Raga point of view, we may understand this. We need Ishtadeva, Ishtanishta, and Swarupanishta. And also we need Seva. Also, this Prabhupada mentioned this last purport. This means after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as reinstatement of living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. That means real spiritual liberation is to attain Swarupasiddhi. So this is Prabhupada indirectly mentioned Swarupasiddhi, I feel. Goranga? Indaraji?
Jayanandaji, you said this final conclusion of Prabhupada, and I remember in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada is mentioning Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is giving these two types of persons who are attain liberation. Impersonalists, like we already talked about that, but also he is giving example of someone who attained liberation through Swarup Siddhi. And he said, Brahmabhuta Prashanatma for Vaishnavas, for Rasik Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it means to attain Swarup Siddhi. And this kind of liberation this is two types of this kind of liberation, Swarup Siddhi and Vastu Siddhi. And he said, Swarup Siddhi, it means that devotee in this body, in this life, attain his desirable goal. He attained prema, he attained his spiritual identity, he attained Ishtadev, and he is doing the seva even if he is still in this body. But when he attained Vastu Siddhi, it means that this body is just vanquished and he is in direct seva without living anymore in this body. He attained his natural Vastu position. So he's giving example, what does it mean impersonal liberation, and what does it mean for Vaishnava personal liberation, to attain Swarup Siddhi, and then one more step, Vastu Siddhi. And we can say seventh goal of life, Rasa Darshan. So I just remember this because Prabhupada I forgot the purport of this long time ago. I read it from this Bhagavad Gita. It's so nice. Everything is here, actually.
Yeah, this is also
everything is here.
Amazing. Oh my God.
Amazing. I'm reading now, and it's really all the points which are very important. What does it mean? Like you said, Sambhada, Abhideya, Prayojana, Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhakti are not separate from soul, and no one can destroy this. So this is our natural constitutional position, to always have a goal to whom we want to serve with devotion, with bhakti, and in that way person becomes bhakta. Because person cannot become bhakta if he doesn't know whom he wants to lovingly serve. This is artificial. Outside, Vaidhi, like Gurudev, it says, this is a Vaidhi. But if person knows, this is my loving Ishtadev, my beautiful, sweet Radhika, and she is my worshipful love, then I will try to serve her. And in that way, person automatically becomes devotee. Not because he is wearing the clothes, he is putting the tilak outside signs. No. So nice. No one can escape from devotional service, even if he hardly try. And this is the reason why Krishna is saying, after many lives, he is again coming in the same position to try to attain relationship with me.
So Krishna's name is Hari. So yeah. Krishna will take everything material also. He steals our heart. So, and once our heart is is stolen, it's difficult to escape. Like Goran
It's not possible to escape. It's just illusion. It can go millions, milliards of kalpas, but again, soul has to come in the position, Brahmananda Brahmite, Kona Bhagavan Jiva. When he will receive again this opportunity in the form of rasic association and in the form of starting again this devotional service to attain final goal. And this is really very nice and deep meanings. What Prabhupada said, what does it mean really to enters me? Isn't it, Jayanandaji? You read it somewhere. Enters me. It's so deep meaning is in this. Impersonalist really wants to enter in Krishna, but enters me means enter my heart. And if someone enters in someone's heart, it means that he really knows this personality. And Prabhupada very nicely said, science of Krishna consciousness, and second thing, science of self-realization. Everything is a science. He using this word science because he knows that our minds are always working like this. But real science of Krishna consciousness is to attain personality, embodiment of love, who has deepest and most intense love for Krishna, and that is Shri Radhika. Like Jayanandaji said, this is really Krishna, person who is really Krishna consciousness. Science means relationship, spiritual relationship, and how to develop this spiritual relationship. This is the real science. And another science is how to develop my spiritual identity fully, and this is self-realization. Science of self-realization. Science of attaining, how to attain perfection in spiritual identity. Swarup Siddhi. True science of Krishna consciousness, relationship. And it means enter to me. This is how I can.
And this also, I feel this, 55th Sanskrit said, Tato man tattva to gyatva. Man tattva gyatva. If we say, like literally translate, thereafter, my tattva, after knowing my tattva, then Prabhupada translating. Prabhupada translate amazing. When one is full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion. Tattva means full consciousness of me. Oh my God. This is very deep translation.
And this tattva is possible only to understand through rasa.
True.
So, without rasa, it's not possible to understand the truth, real tattva. So this is a big, huge mistake when someone tries to understand truth without relationship, without rasa.
So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, do you remember which verse? Maybe Sanatana Shiksha or Rupa Shiksha. Sanatana or Chaitanya, I forgot. Please explain. Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Rasa Tattva, or maybe Ramana is a conversation. All Tattva, please explain. So you mentioned Tattva is not only truth, but also relationship. Some rasa also including. This Prabhupada translation is very, very, very impressed on me. Oh my God, how can Prabhupada translate like this? for me, difficult to translate. Like,
Yeah, because the practical example is if we like some cake, and if we know all ingredients what are necessary for the cake, and we know the recipe for the cake, and we know in which temperature must be baked in the oven, everything we know. But if we didn't taste that cake, it means that we know just the tattva, theory. But we didn't taste. But when the person is tasting something, it's not necessary that he knows all details of recipe. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to know all the jnana, all the karma, all the other tattvas. But if the person receives the mercy for tasting, then all tattvas are becoming situated in his heart.
Yes, Radhe Radhe, can I add something to all of your nectarian words? I thought that discussing with Gurudev about this many times, he mentioned that what for impersonalist is the Z, the last, like liberation. For the Bhakta is the A, is the beginning. And that whole verse is about that. So Vishate enters into me. I like your interpretation, means enters into my dear one's service. Mam ekam sharanam braja. You enter into me, Krishna says, if you serve my beloved Radhika.
I don't know what's happened.
Somehow you are muted. Yeah.
Sorry, we are muted.
Yeah, sure. Your word is very nice.
I remember discussing this subject with our dear Gurudev. He mentioned that what for impersonalist understanding or, end of that practice, because when you want to enter Krishna, when you want to enter into his, confidential abode, means Vrindavan Dham, his service, we have to enter the service of the most beloved one, Srimati. And that is where our service, our love starts and our feelings start. And that is real entrance into Vrindavan. And that is for us every day. That's where it starts. And that's why I like your interpretation of this. Into the kingdom of God means we can enter or try to beg for the search of foolish. That is our, we would like to be a servant of Srimati Radha, of divine love. But how to enter into that service means to develop a relationship with her through her Dasi. And where do we meet this Dasi in this world? In our Gurudev, in the one who has revealed to myself that he or she is the divine Dasi of Srimati Radhika. So that is how to learn, how to understand the divine kingdom of God. It's nothing like an old traditional Christian conception. It is a very unexplicable, beyond the senses realm where we are entering into each other's hearts by feeling each other and by serving each other. So I like that very much that you put this point. And another feeling that came to me is that how much gratitude and how much mercy we have gotten, that now after so many years we are reading the verses, we are quoting the verses, but now we feel the verses in a rasic way. And that is the mercy of a Rasika Vaishnava, of someone who is realized in their eternal position as a lover of the divine. Because before it was not possible. It was not possible. How can we come to these feelings, what we express, what we hear from you, Gauranga, and you, Jananji? How we can come to these feelings? Because they were giving to us. It's like just
If I say, please, if I can say something, because I'm so thankful to. I haven't been from the beginning. I don't know who chose these words, Uddhavaji or your mic. Okay, I'm so thankful to. I don't know who chose these words, because I read this purport maybe 10, 12 years ago. And now when I'm reading this purport, it's completely new dimensions are opening, like Suniti said, and it's only mercy of Rasic devotees who are giving us completely another angle, Rasic angle. Although I don't know nothing about Ras. I'm not diving into Rasa, but because of their help, their emotions, they are opening our heart, not only eyes, heart, that we can relish this beautiful purport of Prabhupada. Like Gurudev said, I cannot stop read this purport, really. And when we finish this Zoom, I will continue to read, because it's every sentence of Prabhupada so beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you, my dears.
and you remember these things where you look through, no? What are they called in English? Kaleidoscope, you know? It's like, I think what Gurudev has given to us, what Srila Prabhupada and all our teachers have given to us, but maybe we have not been aware that our hearts have been prepared to look at it. It's like in every moment you look through it, you see another beautiful flower arrangement. So in every moment we look at these things now, these beautiful purports or these explanations of the Supreme Lord and his abode. It's like a new flowery impression we get.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And it seems to be never ending. It seems to be so tasteful all of a sudden. It's not dry knowledge.
You know, sometimes we are thinking, oh, Bhagavad Gita is a basic book.
Yeah,
You know,
thinking like this.
You know, we are thinking, you know, Gita is basic book. You know, you don't need to read so much. But I was surprising, you know, oh my God, this is actually very deep.
Radhe, Radhe.
Oh, our God.
Who is there? Look, we hear some voice.
Yes.
From the
We
flower.
have internet again, stable internet again. Jai ho! It just took some weeks.
We were in mono.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add on your wonderful points you made. Gauranga Sundara said it's a science, so it's the science of love in this book here. Prabhupada wrote his deep understanding, but it's like a recipe without the person who loves the ones he's cooking for or baking for. You will not make the same cake. It's not possible. Even you have the recipe. So many times we have this experience. We distributed prasadam. And people wanted to have the recipe because they said, oh my God, it's tasting so nice. I have to have this recipe. Please give me. So then we gave. Some weeks, months, or years later, when we met the person again, the person said, I tried, but it didn't taste like that. I don't know why. There's this scientific secret of love. If the lover is cooking for the beloved, then the recipe is full. And in this verse it is said, when one is full conscious of me, if the one who loves him is not giving you the taste, is not giving you the hidden ingredients, you will never ever be able to make this cake. So we need Radharani. we need the teacher of this love ingredients for that recipe. And Prabhupada, I can feel he had these ingredients, but he was hiding. And because our Gurudev was actually opening our eyes, now we have the sentence for these ingredients. And slowly, slowly, we also feel a bit. And I hope...
Stop.
Frozen.
And then again.
one time, make this recipe full together with Radharani. Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you. We are very happy to hear your voice and your face with brothers of Mary.
And I just wanted to say about the kingdom of God also. Actually, it is very clear what is the kingdom of God. It is said that Krishna cannot be moved without pure love. So the kingdom where this cake is baken and is eaten, it's the kingdom of love, of course. It's the kingdom of pure love, of Mahabhav. And this means it's the kingdom of Radharani. And this is the home of God.
You know, I think it's very understandable that these like Christianity based or like tinted words were used, but now we can also use the words that are more, touching the mood of Vrindavan, no? Like the kunjas of Vrindavan or the home, like over Gauravani just said, that the home that we want to enter now is Vrindavan, the home of our Srimati Radhika, where's her home. Yeah. And that is the kingdom. That is where Krishna is the carefree prince of Vrindavan. So it's becoming, illuminated by the mercy of Sri Guru.
And also, I found that this Prabhupada mentioned Raga Bhakti. This is a little bit the end of purport, middle of, as lust and desire disappear from the heart of devotee. Mm-hmm. He become more attached to the service of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Such attachment, kind of some raga, or you may say greed. Mm-hmm. Then he become free from material contamination. Rati. And then he can understand the Supreme Lord.
Jai Ho. Yes.
Yeah, this is also very beautiful verse I would mention. So actually, today, many Japanese was there. So I was selecting so very important verse for Gita, and I would like to hear from Uddhavaji, especially this 54 and 55 and so on. So how he will explain. That is, I was thinking, and then today, if we read if we read Prabhupada purport, we found out many things. This is unexpected, honestly speaking. But Prabhupada is, really amazing.
That's why they say it needs one to feel or to understand one. It needs one Rasika Vaishnava to understand and feel another one. That's what's been happening to us by the mercy of Gurudev. Or it's still going on, that these feelings to go, to understand the feelings of Prabhupada, where he's coming from which point of feeling in his service to Srimati Radhika, to his Guru Manjari, is being revealed by our Guru Manjari, by our Gurudev. How he feels him. And that's the secret in devotional service. It takes one to feel one. Otherwise, it only stays in the mind, in the brain, in the intelligence. And it doesn't feel, it doesn't sink in the heart.
So Gurudev is like stressing please keep going on this international Zoom Sangha and to enlighten each other, to help each other or to maybe discover together. That is the Gurudev is wanting us to do this.
And just now I want to share with you the basement of Gurudev where he doesn't live anymore. He has shifted now to room 108, which is the room by the green tree, at the left side when you come from his old room. He has been given this room now because it's more convenient for his health. He can have fresh air immediately from the entrance, and it's smaller, and he has a small bathroom. He doesn't have to go many stairs, and the air is more becoming. So it was today I felt really touched when I came down and I saw the whole basement, Gurudev cave, is full of devotees. And there he is on his chair again. And then devotees got spiritual names. They got Harinam initiation. And I had a nostalgic moment. And I thought, oh my God, it's never going to be like this again. We were in this room with him for many years. We were sitting to his lotus feet, and always we could come and ask, and every time he would be ready to answer all the questions and now it's like another area, He is more taking care of his bhajan. He said, now I am retired. I will do bhajan. And it gave me also some more hard feelings because he was predicting that years before. He said, you don't know, but now you can come any minute to me, everybody, any minute, whether it be day, whether it be night. You can sleep here, you can eat with me, you can discuss with me, you can fight with me. I'm so available. I mean, he's the most available person I guess I have never, ever met in this lifetime as a teacher, as a guru, Usually a guru is like 10,000 disciples or I don't know what. And if you're lucky, you can, get something like closeness of a feeling maybe.
Once you have to cut one vegetable.
Whatever, yeah. It depends on your relationship. But now, and then, at that time he said, you don't know, but now everything is so carefree, but there will be a time where I'm not speaking much anymore. And I thought, oh my God, I wish this time will never come. But at this moment, I feel it is coming. And it makes me quite nostalgic, Honestly, when I saw this today, I thought, my God, it's, rare to see him down there again. And it will be rare that he will be talking like he was talking with us before, day and night. It's still there, but it's like a different mood now. We want to also, we want to see that Gurudev has his time for restoring his health and restoring his voice. And just a few days ago, he said to me, well, yes, getting better, but still I feel I'm only in 50%. 50%, he says, and he was honest. And, in the mornings now he's getting ready. We had Diksha. In the morning we had Diksha with 9 disciples of Ma Hema Bhakti Giri, and that was very touching. And Gurudev, for 1 hour, he explained the Gayatri mantras. But after that, his voice was, like broken. It's like, and then he said, open the window. I need fresh air. Open the window, So I just realized that everything is changing in this material world. Everything is in a constant change. So I feel so much gratitude today for what was and for what is right now, and take the chance to associate with Gurudev deeply. He's now I was just in my heart lamenting, and I felt, Gurudev, I don't want to lose you. And I thought, what am I talking to myself? I have to find you now. I have to find you on the deepest level of our relationship. Gurudev is withdrawing from an external point of view, He's not available every 24/7 of the day. You cannot just go there and sit with him. The room is very small. It's limited capacity. He's giving us services and he says, I want you to be my voice now. That were his words. And that is also our service to protect him, that his health can be as good as it could be in this stage. And also that to go inside, not see him like an external body, but where's my relationship to Guru Manjari now? How can I more deeper connect it? And at the same time, do my services here externally as they are needed. I just wanted to share this, just like a live report from Mungeraj Mandir with Guru.
Thank you very much for sharing this. I think that many devotees needs this sharings, informations, and also your feelings and devotees around you. Thank you very much. Because many of us, we are not calling so often Gurudev because we try to not put the burden on him and to push him. But in the same time, we are burning inside. And this kind of kata also is helping us that at least some small drops try to help us in surviving this situation. And which is very beneficial for on one side, because we, like you said, we have to, it's the sign, clear sign that we have to go deeper in our spiritual relationship, not only through body to body. Thank you. Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Brahmasundar, very nice. Yes, I feel the same. And this burning is a good burning. I feel the burning even here in Vrindavan, I must say. No, it's a burning of old concepts of my relationship. Because I feel that Gurudev is withdrawing himself, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, to say, okay, now you've had so much mercy, so much association. Now let's meet there, Let's burn the old habits of this bodily perceptions and let's go and grow, Like today I had really 1 second, I had this feeling, my God, this must be how Srimati Radhika feels, in a way that we are together, but we are not together. I feel that something is in our relationship is developing on a different level. That we are together, but we have to be separated more. You know what I mean? It's it's a craziness.
Like I say, like a parents getting old, and sometimes son and daughter take some responsibilities, and makes father or mother be more, free or comfortable or more safe, more relaxed. This is slowly, this time is kind of, approaching, unfortunately. That's feeling also coming. And Gurudev was so much, today he said, I'm very tired, but he forced him to do initiation and many things because of his love.
How many initiations he did in the whole day?
Whole day. No.
Morning?
Maybe 31, including Diksha. My God.
9 Diksha and 20...
Maybe 8 Diksha.
8 Diksha and 20 and some...
22 Harina. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 30 something.
I just remember when Gurudev was telling about his guru, when he was just sitting there and said, if you have a question now, just sit nearby. And the question will find an answer itself. So I feel that actually what love we can give him is the atmosphere that he is going deep now, completely deep diving in, because this is his wish. He said this here and there in between, maybe not too loud or not so loud, but actually he said it again and again, and he said also that he wishes to hear from all of us, and he wants to dive in. So let us do this nice service for him. And as Prabhupada said, or Siddhanta, Bhakti Siddhanta, our love will be shown how we work together in love.
Yes. So, Parama Gurudev's bless Sadhu Maharaj. Your disciple never fight. So, we try to follow.
Radhe, everyone. Thank
So
you very
today,
much.
yeah, today's, I think, here, maybe Kartik final day for us. Today's Ekadashi.
I think full moon is the last day, not?
No.
Some day ago.
Ekadashi to Ekadashi is this Munguraj is standard.
Acha.
Yeah, and some Gaudiya Mata is going to start, Purnima to Purnima. And so today, I think, our Kartik Niyama Seva is
Complete.
Yeah, complete. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe